Tell her again how she was asking for it. How the length of her dress was a subtle yes and her no meant she was playing hard to get. How her unflirtatious smile gave green light to your greed. You were blinded by lust and you wanted to read her body like Braille through touch, but she didn't open like a book. So like a crook, you took her from the safety of her shelf, judged the cover of her clothing, you listened to her screams and sung along as if they were lyrics. Her tears illustrated your actions. You perverted her pages and changed her chapters, and she left you punctuation marks on your face, shoulders, chest. She was found with fragments of your skin under her nails, the fragrance of your aggression still lingering on her neck, and that's even if she lived to tell her story. I think of Bathsheba, whose bathing body David caught as captive, killing her husband and subjecting her to the wishes of a king. Unable to resist an authority, she couldn't even mourn before having her clothes torn by the very man her husband was fully devoted, birthing and bearing a baby born of trauma, but the assault wasn't her fault. Tell him again how he could have fought back, how his physical strength was more than enough evidence, so he must have given consent, that his muscle mass made him more man than victim, so you ripped him of his truth. Men can't get raped. That's a woman's trait. Because sexual assault is also sexist and depends on what your sex is. You see, if a woman assaults a man, there's often no consequence. In the end, he is told he should consider it compliment. It was an act that should boost his confidence. But if a man assaults another man, shame would be the shadow that needs no shine to show or follow. I think of Lot, whose own daughters drowned him in drunkenness and used his body to continue their lineage, as if God wouldn't have extended their generations in a more honorable manner if only they had waited. Instead, they resulted to rape and incest. But the assault was not his fault. I have come to find out that there is no justice, just moral restrictions. We sit before judges who blame the victims. One minute they side with them, the next they side with sin. They ask you to speak your truth, and in the next breath they become vulture, picking at the flesh of whatever strength you have left until you give up and remain silent. But I serve a God who will not rest until your case is reopened, until those who did you unrepentant harm come to know him as both Alpha and Avenger. He will not surrender, and those who watched you weep in silence, he was still your contender, because our bodies were bought by the blood for rebirth, not for the benefit of unwanted advances from sexual predators. Unresolved childhood traumas manifesting in grown men and women who had no input to their introduction to intimacy, some too young to even identify what was being done to their bodies before it was even done. And we call them babysitters, uncles, aunts, we call them parents, pastors, protectors, professors, we call them predators. We march, and one by one we say, me too, but the cycle continues. Why does the cycle continue? At what point do we hold each other accountable for our sins being a choice without excusing each other for being young, hormonal, drunk, high, woman, skirts, shorts, thigh? I will not be content until I no longer have to disguise my Afro pick or my lipstick as a weapon. I do not want to glamorize my need for protection, because the assault is not my fault. My body is still temple even when the doors are locked. These stained glass windows were never yours to paint, so yes, it's a problem when you brush up against me, especially in a crowded place. My body is not your playground, so no, I will not let this slide. And yes, I will cause a scene, especially if that's what it takes to be seen. I will cause a scene, because growing up woman, it was normal to entertain seeds. Subtle gestures from men, I questioned them, but figured it wasn't what I thought it was, because there's no way he was flirting with me. And there's no way he meant to touch me that low or hug me that close. It was an accident. It was a joke. No, not anymore. I will make it known when you make me uncomfortable, because my female intuition is a superpower, not a superstition. A gift from God to expose the fakes, the fools, and the frauds. If seeing me incites your urge to sin, then gouge out your eyes. Because me speaking up might be dramatic, it might be paranoid, or it might just save another woman's life.